Good evening. Welcome to Bedtime Stories. This reading is intended for mature listeners only. It was the end of June and hotter than it had a right to be. The midnight hour had just arrived, along with its attendant darkness, and except for sporadic traffic, the streets were virtually deserted. Sonny Boy Brown was parked in Cab Row near the Broad Street station, waiting for someone in need of a cab. Nobody should be forced to work under the conditions he's faced every single day just to make a dollar. It was a crapshoot each time Sonny Boy turned the key in the ignition. Sometimes the air conditioning in the beat up old cab worked, but most of the time, like tonight, it burped out enough hot air to melt him like a stick of butter. He slammed his fist against the dashboard as if he could frighten the damn thing into working. Before he could properly curse out the jacked up car and the insufferably hot night, static from the dispatcher's radio crackled and popped him out of his bitching session. His boss, Winston Chandler's deep, gravelly voice filled the inside of the cab. Winston and his brother Stedman left Barbados 10 years ago, but they still held on to their heavy Caribbean accents like old women clutching their pocketbooks in a room full of thieves. "Where you at, Sonny boy?" Sonny Boy thought, "I'll tell you where I'm at, Winston. I'm sitting in one of your beat up taxis, sweating like a damn pig because you and your penny pinching, fly fish eating, half ass English speaking brother are too damn cheap to get the air conditioning fixed or even give me another damn car. That's where I'm at, motherfucker." But instead, he gave Winston his location. Hell, times were hard and he needed this job. "You got a pickup. Two passengers at 256 South 10th going to Penn Station." Resigned to yet another long, miserable night, Sonny Boy acknowledged the pickup with a "Roger that, boss," and pulled out. Newark was besieged by a heat wave, and the humidity was off the charts. The temperature had tipped past the 100-degree mark for the past 14 days with no sign of relief. Sonny Boy had watched the sun set less than an hour ago. It felt like the fiery globe was still sitting right in the middle of Broad Street, roasting everything and everyone in the city. Even though he had the windows down, by the time he made it to 15th Avenue, his shirt was literally sticking to his body. Sonny Boy slowed down at the next traffic light and reached for a crumpled up paper towel in the passenger seat to wipe the sweat from his face and neck. He was hot, he was hungry, and dog tired. All he wanted to do was strip off his wet clothing, take a nice long shower, and pop an ice cold Ballantine ale. He was thinking there had to be a better way to make a living when he pulled up behind two police cars double parked on 15th Avenue. "I know they see me," he said out loud while tapping his fingers on the steering wheel impatiently. Just to make sure that they were aware of his presence, he lightly tapped his horn to get the officer's attention and got a whole lot of nothing until one of the cops busted out laughing at something the other said. "I don't have time for this shit. If I don't get that pickup to the station on time, Winston is going to be on my ass." Sonny Boy took a deep breath and drove around the cop cars. By the time he made it to the next light, he saw bright flashing lights behind him. "Oh shit, now they want to act like they see me," he thought. Other than a few minor parking violations, he'd never been in any kind of trouble with the law, and he planned to keep it that way. He was way too pretty to sit in anybody's jail. He dug in his pocket to get his wallet out and set his face in modern day slave mode. The door to the cab flew back so hard, Sonny Boy was surprised it didn't come off at the hinges. He barely had time to throw the cab in park when a big barrel-bellied cop reached inside the cab with fists as big as Easter hams. The cop grabbed Sonny Boy by the collar of his sweaty shirt and literally dragged him out of the cab. The contents of his wallet, his money, license, registration, it all scattered in the street like confetti. Sonny Boy felt like someone had taken a bat to him when his bad knee slammed against the steering wheel as he was ignominiously pulled out of the driver's seat and forced to kneel in the middle of the street. Could somebody please tell me what the fuck happened to license, registration, insurance card, please? Hot damn, I didn't kill nobody. It had been a long time since Sonny Boy had been scared by anything. He lived a pretty low-key life, preferring to stay out of the radar of Newark's infamous constables on patrol. But damn it, he was scared as shit now, and there was no denying it. The cop lurking over him had to be about 300 pounds and some change. He was a menacing monster with a fat, swollen, hog-like face and small yellow teeth that were clenched together behind a slit of a mouth. Sonny Boy could not process the pure hatred he saw in the cop's eyes. He doesn't even know me. How can you hate somebody you don't even know? Incomprehensible. Sonny Boy cleared his throat the best he could under the circumstances in an effort to modulate his voice to a respectable tone, even though that big motherfucker was just short of strangling him. He didn't want to agitate the big cop any more than his black face already had. He focused his eyes on one of the buttons straining against the cop's big belly. He was too afraid to look him in the eye again. "Excuse me, officer," he squeaked. "Could you please tell me what I did wrong?" His answer was a whole lot of hard breathing and bad breath. When he finally got up the courage to look in the face of the cop, who still had a stranglehold on him, he knew that this encounter was going to end badly. The cop reminded Sonny Boy of what a member of the KKK would look like if he caught a brother coming out of his daughter's bedroom, zipping up his pants. Pure evil. The name on the officer's badge was Carlo Portofino, but it was Asmodeus, the demon, who answered Sonny Boy's question with an evil leer on his face. "You made an illegal pass, and when we tried to pull you over, you resisted arrest." His voice was gravelly, inhuman even. Resisting arrest? What the fuck? Sonny Boy looked in the direction of the second cop, hoping he'd get some help. He was standing there less than a foot away, tapping the inside of his palm in a menacing manner with a long leather-covered stick. Sonny Boy didn't need anyone to tell him what a blackjack was. Under that leather was pure, cold steel. Sonny Boy had a pleading look on his face when he looked into the second cop's eyes so cold that they said nothing and everything at once. His hopes sank like the Titanic. He knew right then and there that he would not get any help from that quarter. Sonny Boy had a funny feeling the situation was going to escalate from bad to catastrophic with lightning speed. But surely these cops don't intend to beat me in the middle of the street like I'm some kind of dog. Or do they? Sonny Boy got his answer as soon as he returned his attention to the first officer, whose big fist just happened to be barreling towards him like a derailed freight train. Seconds later, pain like somebody had stuffed an activated time bomb between his lips exploded in the side of his face. The back of his head made a loud thump when it slammed into the back door of the cab, leaving a deep, bloody dent. Sonny Boy slumped to one side, his head lying on his shoulder like a discarded rag doll. The fat cop raised Sonny Boy's head from his shoulder, palming it in his hand to keep it nice and straight. And then he kicked Sonny Boy in the center of his face, shattering his nose, eye sockets, and both cheekbones. Sonny Boy gasped from the shock and intensity of the pain. Blood flew everywhere. When the second cop joined in on the fun, Sonny Boy didn't know where one cop's brutal fist and boots started and the other's ended. All he knew was pain. He thought, damn if they ain't going to beat my black ass to death right out here in the open, as the static from the dispatch radio joined the grunts and punches. The last thing Sonny Boy heard before he finally blacked out was Winston's angry voice. "Where you at, Sonny Boy? The pickup just called and said you didn't get there yet. I need your fucking location now." This reading was an excerpt from my second novel entitled The Realm of Ah. My name is C. Evelyn-Holland. Thank you so much for listening and have a good night.